Welcome back to the regular exclusive podcast. And I know we just did a whole episode on Worth the Watch, but you know what? Worth the Watch don't stop. We always got to think about it. We always got to talk about it. Me and Renee are constantly texting each other about stuff that we watch that we recommend to each other. And Renee, you were telling me about a little Kevin Hart project that's going on right now over at Netflix.
A couple
And
of them. I feel like he just made a deal with them or something, so he's like,
I
in
think he
a ton
just
of
had a
stuff.
stand-up that came out recently. I
And he
haven't
has a
watched
show,
that one.
doesn't he, on there? I don't know. I can't keep track because now they have like podcasts and stuff on Netflix. It's like so hard to keep track of everything. But yeah, they got
Kevin Hart has got to have a podcast.
I'm
Like
sure he does.
of all the
He has a
celebrities that
show.
have podcasts, Kevin Hart just feels like a podcast kind of guy.
100%. So, okay, so yeah, so he has two notable things though on Netflix outside of his special right now. They announced and released like a very brief teaser that's just him being funny. And it's just teasing that they're gonna do the next roast on Sunday, May 10th, and it will be the roast of Kevin Hart, which is perfect because he's hosted so many times.
Well, and this is the first roast they've done since Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so we got to prepare for like 2.5, 3 hours of this again.
I mean, honestly, like, so the other thing I was gonna say is that he also has a TV show that's kind of like American Idol right now called Funny AF, or it's Kevin Hart Funny
I
AF, and
I've
it's like a
heard,
competition.
yeah,
So it's kind of like so last night they did a roast episode as like to test out like how they do with that kind of humor.
yeah,
And it was hilarious because I would say like while the target was Marshawn Lynch, and a lot of people went for him. But like I would say Kevin Hart, it almost was like the roast of Kevin Hart. People really went on Kevin because I'm like, Kevin's just got to be the best to make fun of. Plus, they had Chelsea Handler, or no, sorry, they had Nikki Glazer there. And
yeah.
Chelsea Handler's been like the main judge with him throughout the whole thing.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah, he's got like Kumail Nanjiani. He brings in Tom Segura, and then he brings in what's his face? Keegan Michael Key. And they
Oh,
each are
okay.
in an episode to recruit, and then they come back for like the semifinals where like everybody comes in and puts something else together, and they have them do different challenges. So like last night they had them do like crowd work and
Yeah,
also like topical things. And it was great seeing the differences. We were like, oh, clearly that guy is not the best or whatever. That guy's really good. There's this one guy I think you'd love. His name is Winston. He has the craziest glasses, but he's like this really pale white guy, and he's from like this tiny little town in Virginia. And he's so funny because like his humor is just so unexpected, but like it's so innocent. Like his
yeah,
whole joke was talking about like how like, he always thought everyone like was cool smoking weed, but now that it's legal and like when he goes back home, his Republican friends do it, and he's like, man, they really should never be smoking weed. They are not fucking chill. I'll tell you that. I was like, this
uh,
is great.
that's great. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
it takes literally nothing for me to watch anything with Marshawn Lynch in it. So
Yeah. He's not in the whole thing, unfortunately, but he is in the roast episode and he takes it like a champ and he's
yeah,
just cool.
nice. The only thing I'm like a little concerned about with the roast of Kevin Hart is like people have got to make more jokes than just him being short and jokes about The Rock. Like if I
There
hear
were a lot
that
of those last
if I
night.
hear that for 3 hours, I'm gonna hate it. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of like at the Tom Brady roast. Like they kept making fun of Gronkowski for like being an idiot. And like that
Yeah.
was just
Like, all right.
over and over and over again.
It's like there's got to be other stuff we could go for. Someone had a good one last night where because he was sitting on the couch with it was Marshawn and then Nikki and then Kevin, and they were like, Kevin looks like your child. It's just like this is great. There were some really good ones though, and there were like clever ones, but I would say like most people hit on the basics that you would
Yeah.
expect. But like that's always I think the for the roast, I think like that's always you get the best of the best people because you get a lot of comedians. Not all comedians can roast.
Yeah.
Like that was what was interesting in the Funny AF show was like some of the comedians were like, I roast myself in my comedy. I
Yeah.
don't roast other people. Like it's hard to be mean,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, That would be my thing too. I'm really bad at like I could be so mean to myself, but I would never want to be like I would feel so guilty saying a lot of the anything that they say in a fucking roast. But that might be the fun of it.
Well, it's funny, like roasting is it's such a skill. And there's like a fair amount of comedians that like Nikki Glazer is a comedian where like her stand-ups, I think they're okay, but I
Mhm.
absolutely love her in roast.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's a top tier roaster, or like when she hosts anything, she always makes fun of everybody. Like she's
Oh
so
yeah.
good at roasting people. So like I'm excited to see her go up. Also, I feel like it's been a while since we've had a roast of another comedian.
Yeah.
And so like I'm excited for when Kevin Hart gets up at the end and he roasts everybody.
It's gonna actually be really good. It's never gonna it's not like, oh boy, who wrote that for Tom Brady, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously he didn't. There was a lot of jokes at the when they did the Marshawn Lynch roast on his show that was like they were making fun of him for not being able to read and write. I was like, I think he can read and write.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch went to Cal. Like he's
Yeah,
really
that's
smart.
what they're saying. They're like, yeah, uh-huh. And they're like, yeah, but then helmet hurty, right?
Helmet Hurdy.
Or some shit like that. It was pretty funny.
I'm gonna have to watch that and catch up.
Oh,
You said
honestly,
that,
there's 6 episodes, and they're like an hour each, but worth it. They're really fun, and if you like like stand-up comedy or you love to watch their clips, I feel like you might have already seen them on social media. They've been doing that, but the cool part is that it's they air every Monday. So next Monday there will be a live like the finals, I believe. And it will
okay.
be or maybe it's the semifinals and then the finals because I think we have only 6 people left.
Okay. I might
And they're
have to.
down to like cutting out like good people every time. It sucks.
All right, I might have to move that up on my Netflix watch list because right now I really want to watch that Zach Galifianakis gardening show.
I just saw a trailer for that and I was like, wow, what the hell?
Each episode is like 15 minutes long. I'm like, oh, this seems like a vibe I could really
This makes
enjoy.
sense. From like between two ferns to that, I'm like, this seems like this makes sense like career trajectory for him. I'm curious though what it is. It looks like it's still his like weird comedy shit. So good.
Yeah,
If it was just him gardening and not talking, I'd be very disappointed.
Zach Galifianakis educational humor. That's a crossover I was not
Oh yeah.
not expecting.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Pretty good. But yeah.
speaking of crossovers, let's take a little break and then get into him.
Do you want this? I said, do you want this? If you want to transcend the game, you have to dig deep. Your mind and your body have to be in sync. Talent is how hard you're willing to work. No days off. No sleep. We grind. I'm never good enough. I'm never good enough. That's how great people think. So you're gonna have to ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice? This ain't a fucking game, man. This is everything. Do you want this? What are you willing to sacrifice? You fucking say it! And show me.
All right, let's talk about him. Made in 2025 for Jordan Peele and Monkey Paul were part of the production team for it.
Monkey Paul?
Monkey
Just kidding.
Paw.
I know, though. He said, I was like, that just sounds like there's a guy named Monkey Paul over there.
That'd be a unfortunate name. The name's
Yeah.
Paul, Monkey Paul. But
I
and
like it.
directed by Justin Tipping, which looks like this was his first like feature length movie. He's done shows before, and this is a sports horror, which is a very unique sort of subgenre of horror. We talk a lot about the subgenres of horror, you know, home invasion, sci-fi horror, you know, bleak horror. There's not a whole lot of sports horrors.
No, like there's definitely like I would say horror can pretty much almost go with any genre. I do think it could pair well with sports because there is a lot of horrific things that happen in sports to the
Yeah.
people involved and that the people at the top are doing 100%. Like I think it makes sense. But I think it's like interesting to talk about because I think something that we've talked about before, probably not on the air, but I think we've talked about like how it feels, at least to us, like there's not probably a ton of crossover audience wise of like people who are like, I love my sports, but I love my horror movies too. I mean, I'm sure that like there's people who enjoy like sports fine and they're like more into horror, but it just doesn't feel like that's like a big audience overlap. I don't know.
Yeah, and this that is what I think was kind of the downfall of this movie. Now, for the record, you and we like this movie. We think this
Yes.
movie gets way too much hate. The idea of a sports horror movie is really unique. It's really different, but I think that's also why initially people didn't really like it because this movie it didn't make money.
Hmm.
Um,
It got
and
bad reviews.
got bad reviews, and I think the bad reviews are really what killed it,
Yeah,
and
because
people
those came
not
out
giving it a
early.
chance. But
229 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and it's got a 31%. That feels insanely low for this movie. Because you know what I can say about this compared to like some other recent movies, like maybe Apex on Netflix? That like this isn't generic or by the books, right? This feels like a swing.
yeah,
An
this
artist
movie
took a
this
swing and made a choice and made a movie. And just because it's different doesn't mean that like we should just shit all over it. Plus, like why do we care all of a sudden what critics think? I feel like a lot of people are always like, they're so disconnected from like what real people like to watch, you know?
yeah.
But now all of a sudden, like certain movies, it's like, I don't understand. Was there a meeting where everyone was like, let's fucking hate on this movie? We all decided we're going to hate it. And I'm like, I feel like this is the same thing that happened with Candyman in the also
Yeah,
from Monkey Paw Productions that you just watched recently. And like, wasn't that a great movie? Why the
loved it.
fuck do people hate it? I think it's because they just are expecting something in their heads. But also, I do think like, you know, maybe that's like a remake. Obviously, this is more of like a total swing in a new direction of like, how much audience overlap is there? Maybe there's just not enough people to go to the theaters for that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's
I
like it's a puzzle, but like I was thinking we should talk about it because like are there any other genres that you feel like that could that don't mix well with like a horror film?
yeah, so I
Because I
made
think
a
definitely sports is probably going to be the hardest one to make work perfectly in
yeah,
both worlds, don't you think?
yeah. So I made a list of some movies that I thought were either for sure like they were interesting crossover genres. And just so everyone knows, we're not talking about the major ones. We're not talking about horror comedies, horror sci-fi. Those are established. That's not what we're talking about.
That's
But
like
like
yeah, horror sci-fi is like been around forever.
we're talking about like
Combinations.
unique combinations. And um like one that came to mind recently was Bones and All. Like
Hmm.
that's like a story, like a really romance driven story that has cannibalism in it. And
Yeah.
so I thought that was kind of unique. Um I think also just because I watched this movie a ton as a kid, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was
Yeah.
like a
Cartoon.
weird movie that put live action and animation together, and then also it was a noir film, and
Yeah.
it also had some of the most horrifying things a kid could see, like that final scene is terrifying.
Dude, Christopher Lloyd in that movie, the worst.
Crazy.
And it's nuts that he also played like the fucking Doc in Back to the Future because you're like, that guy ruined my childhood, but then also made it.
Yeah.
But he was that's a great choice because I feel like like you wouldn't normally suspect like animation and horror, but my God, did they go good.
Yeah.
We were even just like recommending stuff to each other. So if you guys are interested, we could post our recs. But like some other ones I thought that like might be like harder to pull off, but have been pulled off is like horror and musical, I think is the biggest one. That would be like, that's got to be the hardest one to make work
The
overall.
only one I can think of is Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd is literally like the fucking peak of all horror musicals, I would imagine. I don't watch a ton, but besides Rocky Horror Picture Show, I would put that up there. That's probably the number one, but and especially because it's just so incredible with Tim Curry. But like that's not one that you see people going back to all the time still. Like just because it's been done really well doesn't mean that it's gonna like fully like it's not like probably like maybe Blair Witch was like not the first, but the first in a long time to combine the horror with the documentary format. And that's why we have found footage.
Yeah.
Like it was already kind of a thing, but it just was like never as popular. It didn't become popular till Blair Witch because of how they did that.
Yeah.
So it's like I think all of these other genres, when people try them, they're like, maybe this could happen, but like a biopic, maybe a horror biopic, that could be hard to pull off. Well, that was the only other genre I thought.
We haven't gotten a movie. We have a ton of TV shows like
yeah. Or they're like fake or fictional, but it's like, what about a real horror biography about someone who had a really fucked up life?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. If there's anything that we've learned about biopics with musicians, it's very important for them to pick a moment of their life and not try to do the whole life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why the horror shows those kind of work, because they have a lot more time to like do the beginning and then when they got fucked up and then the end when they got caught. I honest to God don't know if anybody can do in one movie like can do a biopic without overstuffing it and overcomplicating
like through
it.
Like a horror lens. It would be a weird energy because you'd be like, are you saying that they're like living a horror film? Like I don't know. It'd be such an interesting idea. I think we got to make the first one, but like one that I think people probably don't see a ton of is horror and Western, but those really go, I would say so many Westerns are like have so much horror in them because they're so fucked up back in those times. And some like Bone Tomahawk is probably the most effective of all time. I think we're gonna get our first like real horror and superhero film with Clayface. So I'm curious to see how that goes because I feel like we watched, what was the werewolf by night or something? Is that the one that's on Marvel? The one that they released in black and white. Yeah. I'm like, I remember that and I was like, this is cool, but it was like not, full on horror film. But I was like, I like this. This is done in the right way. But like, I feel like Clayface is going to be the first full on. But yeah, it's like I feel like there's a way to do it right, and like the only one I could even think of for sports and horror film that's ever done it and done it well. And tell me if you agree, is Black Swan with Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis.
Yeah, I didn't think about that initially, but then when you mention it, like that is very much like a competitive sort of sports kind of tone. Like she literally goes insane because she wants to be better than the other one.
She like it literally drives her insane. I feel like that's like, I mean, all these genres, like I don't know how successful they all are when you combine things that aren't that interesting or they don't normally go together. But I think that actually gives you some lasting power with your movie. Because like I feel like Black Swan to me felt like something unique at the time, but I loved that lens on something like where it wasn't like this thing to be admired with this crazy drive that people have. It was like, holy fuck, this girl's gonna die if she keeps this up.
Yeah.
And I think ballet was the perfect sport to choose for that because it's like you can literally kill yourself with that shit. It's like pretty fucking, people who don't do ballet don't realize how gnarly it is, like with like everything that they go through. So that movie I think is honestly probably why a lot of people were not happy with him. I think another reason is because like people probably thought this was going to be like the male version of Black Swan, and like it, but with football instead of ballet. Which like I get that. That's kind of what the trailers made it seem like, right?
Yeah, a little bit. And so like I think the big problem with this, and like we listed off like several different sort of combinations, and but like going back to what you said originally, like this might be the hardest combination because I don't think there's much overlap between these audiences. Like people who like sports movies, like I grew up in a sports movie family, and so people who like sports movies, if they went to this expecting it to be a sports movie, they were not happy because they got a good chunk of sports movie, but then they got a lot of what the fuck is going on, like in horror movie stuff. And then also, I think people who are like diehard horror fans, like Renee, I could ask you this. Like you are all you watch is horror movies. Do you ever watch a sports movie just casually?
No. Unless it's like for the Oscars.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Any
So
Oscar film I will watch. The last sports film that I watched besides him was probably King Richard, that one with Will Smith that he
oh
won for when
yeah,
he fucking hit Chris Rock.
yeah.
That was the worst. It was a good movie though. And I was like, wow, he was so good. And then the next day I was like, wow, I feel bad even saying that before. But that was like the last probably sports related thing. Nolan watches more. He loves the thing that'll get him to cry is like superhero shit or like heroics, like superhero heroics or sports heroics. So I was like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so like that is like basically Black Swan, where she's like giving the sport her all, but it like takes so much that she dies. Like
Yeah.
that's what people I think were expecting this movie to be. Like he's gonna fully like go insane from like doing all of this. And that like it was supposed to be a metaphor for how it like ruins people's lives and takes
Mhm.
over and causes all these things. But I feel like this movie was also not like just because you thought that doesn't mean that like the director is gonna that's not his vision. Like there's
Yeah.
a whole other story here, I feel like.
Well, and so yeah, like I feel like there's not a lot of overlap. Where I do think there is overlap, and I think this is where I fall into this. If you're somebody who used to really follow sports, but then you don't really anymore, like you kind of just got tired of a lot of the stupid things in sports,
That's me.
then then this movie's actually really good. I think this movie is really good at pointing out like the insanity of sports culture and like
Yeah,
how much of like a cult it feels like sometimes.
right? That's
Like
what
I
I'm
thought it was
saying.
really good. Like I I remember like yeah, like when I started kind of like drifting away from sports, part of it was just like talking with people and just not being able to be as invested in the conversation as they are. Like there's some
Mhm.
people are like, oh man, the last 30 years we've seen this. I'm like, I don't care about the last 30 years. I just asked you what'd you think of the game. Like, it's
Right?
like,
I know. It's like insane. It's so true. And like people get so upset and like literally just it literally is like football, religion. It's like substitute the cult of, religion for the cult of
yeah,
football. But really it could be any sport 'cause people are just as crazy about like European football and
yeah.
it's insane over there. But I think it was also like interesting to me how it was like about that cult like kind of behavior, which was very like great because like it is very cult like. There's so many weird like even rituals that people do regarding
Oh,
like sports and luck and
Do
all this
do you
shit.
remember that Super Bowl ad? I think it was for Budweiser, and it was like, "It's only weird if it doesn't work."
Yes. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
like it's all about
Their
the
rituals.
superstitions
Yeah.
and
Exactly, that's the shit that I'm talking about. It feels like that kind of stuff is like, you know what, you're right, and then also they lean into that within the cult of, like, the, like, hero worship of, like, the quarterback
yeah.
and, like, the GOAT, the idea of the GOAT, which, like, is great. I was, like, wondering if there was gonna be some crazy fucked up goat god at the end of this movie. I was
Yeah.
kind of, like, hoping for, but I think I'm just always like, hoping in every movie that there's some, like, crazy Lovecraftian monster that no one can even imagine that's just gonna show up at some point. That would be, like, the best thing to happen in any movie as far as I'm concerned, so
I'm a little surprised this movie wasn't called GOAT.
right? The
Like,
goat or, like, whatever, instead of just him, because it's like it does feel like the goat is a lot more of the stuff that they're like really like they're fucking around with in this movie. That's what
Yeah.
they're here for. But also about like how it takes from other people and what it does to like even the pure violence with like the other guys who are like working out with them and they're like hitting them with the balls like
Oh, yeah.
insanity. This movie's crazy.
But like,
But I really don't think it's bad. It's visually beautiful. It's a really like interesting take on sports, and I think maybe the people who are mad are just like, I was not expecting it to actually critique sports or whatever. Like maybe that's what it to critique football, which I was like, maybe that's what it is.
yeah, this movie really shits on football like a lot.
I think the ending is why, because I did see a lot of people saying I was pissed off about the ending. Like I didn't really enjoy it, but then the ending made me mad. So I was like, why? It feels like that's like exactly what kind of ending I expect as a horror fan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what people are doing here, but overall, I think like just because it's on Netflix now, people should really just if you haven't watched it yet, and you're waiting to hear our initial thoughts or whatever, go watch it. I think it's worth it because it's like it's a very interesting film. It takes a risk. There's a lot of cool visuals, weird shit, and I think it's like worth seeing for sure. Make your own mind up. Don't just listen to whatever fucking everyone tells you to do.
Yeah. And also don't go into it expecting it to be like the greatest movie ever made. Like this is a solid good movie. You know, it's not perfect, but it's interesting, which is a lot more than
Yeah.
what a lot of movies can say.
Dude, right? We just were talking offline about Dolly, and it's like that was a very by the numbers kind of a fucked up movie, but like it was just still very basic. Like it felt like nothing. Okay, cool. There's nothing special here.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see like what if you have thoughts, I'd love to hear from them on social media. So look us up and chat us when we post our episode this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so right off the bat, the movie starts with us meeting the main character as a kid and essentially his dad pigeonholing him into you're going to be the next greatest quarterback of all time. Yeah, and it's like I thought it was interesting. Like one thing I've wondered about with like a lot of athletes is like they talk about like there's like a lot of athletes that talk about like growing up, you know, not in the best part of town. They don't have a lot of money. And they're like, I want to take care of my family and all this stuff. And it's like, I was thinking about like, this is so much pressure to put on a child, like in any sport of like, if you have a family that's not in a great financial situation, it's like, my son is going to become a millionaire. It's like you have less odds than like winning the lottery of like then becoming a professional athlete. And it's like
right.
It's like that or like Olympic athletes or anything like that. It's like God, the amount of pressure that you must have as a kid.
Dude,
it's like crazy.
I feel like I would quit the family. I'd be like, I'm out. This is never going to happen for me. I'm not going to be a sports star. That's just not my thing. I would never be forced. I could never be forced into it because I'd be like if you had to do this all the time. I mean, anytime you see what people have to do for like to be that fucking in shape and be like a professional athlete, you're like, unless I was getting paid millions of dollars, I would not want to live that way. Right. But it's like, I would not want to put in 20 years or 18 years or whatever till I get drafted. And like your relationship with your father strained immediately because you have to deliver. And like, it's honestly, it felt like the movie with the Williams sisters, the tennis movie with not to plug that movie, but it is like, you're like, man, that guy, he had the best intentions, but man, he really fucking made those daughters work. It's like, Jesus, they never get to be kids, you know? That's the shit part.
Well, and then like we just had with the Olympics, we just had that one girl, the skater. I think it's like her name's like Alyssa Liu or you or something. Her dad like spent all this money for her to be a kid and like for her to be the world's greatest skater. So she was just constantly going. And then like when she turned 18, she's like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Cause like she was just nonstop skating and like constant training and stuff. And she stopped and then like went to college. And then she's like, I think I want to skate again. And it was like her decision. And then she
That's cool.
came back and had total control of like all of her stuff. And then she won the gold medal. Like she was like a phenomenon. But it's
If you're not in it, like they even say that in this movie, like if your heart's not in it, it's really not going to be worth all the fucking shit that you have. Like it sounds like there's a lot of pain involved with getting to that place that you're like, you're going to need to want that a lot to even, or else you won't, like, I imagine you would give up on it pretty easily. You'd be like, all right, I'm out.
Well, and especially with attention spans nowadays, like you got to have someone there cracking the whip, like get back to it. And it's
Dude,
like,
I know. And I was like, I'm exhausted just watching this guy running in the desert and getting whipped and like yelled at in the morning. I'm like, I would literally lose my mind because I'm so not a morning person. I was just like, this is why I'm like, these movies seem so insane. I'm like, how do people live this way?
yeah. I wanted to ask you about Marlon Wayans and your thoughts on him being kind of a stand-in for a Tom Brady, but in a horror movie.
I loved him.
I thought he was great. I was really surprised. Like he is so different in this movie compared to like anything else that we see him in. And like I loved seeing him be like a total dick.
Mm-hmm. He was really, really good and he played the part perfectly. I thought he was, I feel like he's only done a couple like dramatic roles, but I was like, we should get him in more movies like this. Like, obviously, I'm so hyped that he's going to be bringing back Shorty for Scary Movie 6 next month or the month after, whenever it comes out. But I seriously could do with more of this energy from him because it's so good.
Like halfway through the movie, and it was during the scene when he like had the gun in his mouth and he was like blowing the gun.
I'm like, okay, is he trying to give James Franco a run for his money? Remember that scene in Spring Breakers where he sucks the gun like a bitch for like, I feel like a good 5 minutes. I was like, why is this in the movie? But he was like, I'm gonna do it again. We're gonna go back to that. I feel like people just weren't ready for it back then, but now. And I was like, I don't know. I guess Marlon Wayans does look hotter doing it.
Well, it's like that scene and like everything from like his monologue and like his anger and his intimidation. I was like, I could see you being like, I don't know, like a joke, like the Joker. I could see him like be in that kind of villain role.
That's exactly what he said. No way. On the trivia, there's not much trivia for this movie, but he literally said his inspiration for the role was like performances like Heath Ledger as the Joker, like that kind of guy. He was like, I just want to be that kind of a character in this movie. And I was like, he nailed it.
He nailed it. And if he was to play the Joker, it would be totally fine because he's already done whiteface.
That's true. And he's okay to do that. We always know.
He nails it in White Chick. So
yeah.
But no, I was really, really surprised by him, really happy with his performance. And like I think he's the most important person in this movie.
Yes.
For everything to be working.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the main guy is great. I will come out and say it. I really do think
I liked him.
Tyreek Withers. He was also in that shitty remake or reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, but he was still honestly the best part in that too. I feel like one of them, like he was pretty actually good. Like there were some charismatic people in that shitty movie, but and fucking Jim Jeffries in this movie.
Jim Jeffries nails it. I was so first off, I was surprised to see him. And
me too. I thought I would have heard if he was in the movie. So when he popped up, I was like, no shit. As the doctor? Like, what? I've watched his stand up for a long time. Didn't know he could play a doctor, but I totally bought it.
Well, and the thing that I liked about his character so much is like this whole movie is just pointing out the insanity of the culture of this, the logic of a lot of these decisions.
And the way that we treat these people like they're like literally gods who walk on water.
Yeah. And then, but I loved Jim Jeffries and like I thought he perfectly encapsulated I don't know, just like the frustration of like, I want to become a doctor to help people. And then you get into this world of professional sports. And now it's not about helping people. It's about helping, the machine that is this whole thing. And like
Yes.
there's a line that that Cam says to the doctor, like after he gets hit on the head with the hammer. And it's like the doctor gives his opinion. He's like, I don't know if you'll ever play football again. And then Cam says, well, what are your thoughts as a fan? And it like becomes this thing of not should you play this game, it's can you keep playing this game. And like
Yeah.
Jim Jeffries, I thought, is so good at just like be like, it's not about doing the right thing for your health. It's about doing the right thing to keep you playing. And how frustrating that must be, because a lot of these decisions are, we should not do this,
Yeah.
but we're going to do it
Exactly.
anyways.
And he's like sitting there while they're like shooting footballs at that guy's face. And
Yeah.
he's like, this is why I became a doctor. It's like, fuck. He was great. Like, he wasn't overly funny. Like, he had some moments where like, he's like, this job kills me. Like, I've never seen my wife. I never see my kids. And then he's like, oh, you have kids? How many kids? And he's like, I don't have any kids, but it's like just the point. That's not the point. The point is that if I did have any kids, I would never be able to see them.
Or it's like when
Which is great. That was
like
good.
when Cam is naked and they're doing the measurements, it's like, put your underwear back on. I'm very uncomfortable right now.
Like, there's moments, but he didn't overdo it. It wasn't like he's just a comedy guy. And what a shocker later on when you just see his head on the thing. I was like, no.
Yeah. The sacrifice or whatever that was.
Honestly, the chapters, I'm like, I don't care. Whatever you got to tell me this is, I don't know. But I'm like the whole movie doesn't necessarily, it kind of makes sense to me, but it also, I'm like, I can see why people are like left wanting more, because I feel like it like builds up pretty well, but it doesn't like fully like come together at the end. It's like there's a few missing pieces or something. But like, I would say overall the journey of this movie, to me, I enjoyed it more than what was the one that we watched with the John Malkovich cult? And they're like the musician guy is the leader.
Opie?
Yeah.
No. Starts with an O. I can't think of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We gotta look it up now though.
But yeah, like this movie also does the subgenre of cult horror.
Opus.
Opus.
Okay. That is this is like, I think it's like, just because cult horror is so hot right now too.
Mm-hmm.
That I think people were like, okay, sports is a cult, we get it. But like, they were hoping that maybe this was going to be different. But it's also like, I mean, we don't have a ton of sports cult horror films. So like, I'd say, let's let them have one. Like, what is the problem? Like, just because this is that, like, that doesn't make it bad. I think it's way more fitting, honestly.
I think people didn't like it because, like you were saying, like it has a lot of criticism towards fandom, towards the industry as a whole, towards the players. Like, it's criticizing everyone. So, like, if you're a huge sports fan, you're sitting there watching this, like, well, I don't like that they're saying that about the thing that I is most identify with and who I am as a human being. Like,
yeah. Hey, I mean, that's like the great part about cinema is sometimes like you get smacked in the face by something in a film and you're like, that's about me.
Yeah.
You're like, this fucking, like, to quote Euphoria, but you're like, this fucking play is about us. That's how I feel sometimes too, but it's like, get over yourself. Nobody's perfect. And also, there's so much wrong with sports. How dare us like point it out? Really? It's like people just want to pretend, but I think that's why this movie needs to exist, because it's like this dichotomy of all of this violence, and is it worth it for the entertainment? This feels like a modern day like Gladiator kind of shit.
Well, and the thing that I also loved about this is like how much it points out the insanity of the way that people compare this to
Mhm.
gladiators, and like like it compares it to war, it compares it to gladiators, and all this stuff. It's like those things are not the same thing. Like wars are not fought over a ball, and gladiators, a lot of them were slaves.
For yourself.
Like,
Yeah. I
but
would say, weren't they all slaves?
I'm sure there was some people that just chose to go in there because they had no other choice. I don't know. I'm not a historian. I've just seen the movie Gladiator, and I don't think that's super
I think
accurate.
that's pretty historically accurate. I think we could say we know our Greek
Ridley
or
Scott
whatever
is
that
a
was.
pretty historically
Yeah.
accurate guy.
Alien is also based on a true story. So let's just say anything's possible. Nolan's head is exploding somewhere.
But yeah,
He
like
really, by the way, just I have to get it out of the way. He really did not enjoy this movie. And he only
my
is
wife
like,
did not enjoy it either.
yeah. And he loves sports, obviously, like all sports, but most sports, but he really gets upset about this movie. And I think every time he gets mad about it, his argument always spirals back to when they were promoting that movie Smile, the first one, and they like had people like the actors planted in the audience at the baseball
I
games,
remember
and the
that.
camera would zoom in on them and they were smiling like creeps. Nolan got so mad when that was going on, and he was like, this shit needs to end. Like,
It's like, stay out of my thing.
yeah, get out of my sports. I don't interrupt your thing with my sports. So like, don't come anywhere near me. He was like, I don't need that shit anywhere. He got so upset. And so now I think like this movie was like just a big middle finger to him of
Yeah.
like, as soon as he saw the trailer, I remember he was like, never will I want to watch that. We're not going to see that in theaters. So I was like, that's fine. But like, is it that offensive? Like, it's literally just pointing out the obvious about football.
Yeah. Well, I want to
And sports culture, and like fucking idol worship in general. I mean,
Yeah.
all these men are really walking around with another man's name on the back of their shirt. It's like pretty cult like behavior if
Yeah.
you're not like, that's not your husband.
Yeah. I wanted to keep going on this whole like intensity thing, but I did want to shout out real quick. My favorite character in the entire movie is his agent, because first off, he has the best line of the entire movie when they're like going down for the combine, and the guy's like, somebody shouts like, is it true you're pulling out of the draft? And then his agent says, it's true, I'm pulling out of your fucking mom tonight.
Yeah. It's like, wow,
But
okay. Great
also,
response.
I wanted to ask you if you thought this also. The agent, I feel like, is doing his best Ike Barinholtz impression.
I got the same vibe too.
Like-
I honestly, when I was rewatching it, like I was like looking at my phone for a second and I heard his voice before I saw him. And I was like, that's not, that couldn't be. No. And I was like, he's in this fucking movie. I feel like I would remember that. And I was like, no, it's that guy. That guy, Tim Heidecker.
Yeah.
He was the guy that Maya Rudolph married in Bridesmaids, oddly enough.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was also maybe more known from Us. He was the one who was Elizabeth Moss's husband
Oh, yep.
in that one, who's like a total dick in that, and he's pretty funny. I think he's good. I do wish it was like Barinholtz, like from the studio, just like would be always, I think, my personal choice. But this guy totally was sounding like him and acting like him, and I was here for it.
He was good, but
He was a great character. Probably, I agree, like my favorite, like random side character, the girlfriend or wife or whatever, that was Julia Fox played her.
Uncut Gems girl.
Yeah, she was pretty funny.
Her eyebrows, her bleached eyebrows were insane.
I mean, that's the thing. She has bleached eyebrows, and for some reason, it looks so much more intense and like scary than it does when Lady Gaga does it. It's like for some reason she just pulls it off, and it doesn't look. I mean, she can make it look scary, but she also can pull it off, and it looks like more natural. Whereas, like, yeah, this chick, I was like, wow, that face, like, it really accentuates the angles of her face. But I thought she was actually like surprisingly funny. I thought I was gonna hate her at first, but I was glad that I didn't. She was pretty good.
So yeah, I mean, so back on the whole like talking about like war and
Yeah,
and like
sports.
the intensity and
Like the
like
Native American tribal tradition of like a boy becoming a man and going out in the wilderness and having like drug induced visions and like killing something and bringing it home and becoming a man.
yeah, it's just
It's like it's
so
not that serious.
yeah,
It's
like
football.
and it's like even at the very beginning, like Marlon Wayne's like when Cam first comes to the house and he finds him like doing something with leather, he says like, "Hey, remember, have fun. Like we're here to have fun." And it's like none of this is about having fun. And
I don't think there's fun to be had anywhere. And although Marlon Wayans, I think he was just talking to himself because I think he's having fun for
yeah,
most of it. There's times where you're like, dude, this guy is like very terrifying right now. Like, I'm just worried about like the way he's looking at him. I'm like, kid, don't you dare talk back to him.
yeah.
Don't you talk back to him. Like little Cam is like, I loved his character and I think he's like very rational in this situation, but it's like also, I think you learn pretty quick, like you got to go along with whatever he does. Like he's definitely a loose cannon, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and like the training scenes are like first off, those are really good like sports training montages.
Yeah.
But
They start off pretty accurate.
yeah, but then like I mean the first one when the guy's just taking balls to the face, like it it's
From that
pretty
thing that like shoots him out, how fast? I mean, it was like insanely. It looked like it was
yeah.
shooting him like with a lot of force right into his face. Like his
Yeah.
nose looked broken after first or second hit.
Like yeah, those machines like you crank them up like they can throw a football across an entire field like 100
Yeah,
yards like
that's
like
crazy.
they do them just for insane things and like yeah the way that guy's face is all fucked up at the end like and then he's like laughing and stuff like oh this is some crazy cult shit like
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Cam has fun the entire time, but like other people are clearly having a good time around him. But it's like I don't think he's actually having fun. He's more like, what the fuck is going on at every moment?
but it's the second montage where I was like man this is nailing the whole like we gotta be heartless and ruthless because that's the only way you get to the top when he hits the guy and like gives him brain damage and like he's on the ground just like seizing and they're like celebrating all around him while
Yeah.
he's seizing they're like you did it you overcame your fear you're the big dog now like I'm proud of you I'm like this guy's dying like what
They're like, those guys don't matter. You can't care. Like that's what his thing was about being the GOAT was like, you can't care about who you're gonna hurt. You just care about what you need to do. And like
and
for the team or whatever, for the team basically.
well
And I
it's
was
like
like, Jesus.
well, it's like I can see someone who loves loves sports and sports movies watch that scene and be like, "Well, that's bullshit because that's not how they would actually act." And it's like
Mhm.
this isn't saying that this is how they actually act. It's the messaging behind it. Like because
Media
people
literacy is
people
at an
get
all-time
concussions
low.
over and over and over again and they keep going back and playing football. Like this is an idea compacted into 2 minutes. Like
Exactly. People just like are so media illiterate nowadays. They're like, if it's not spelled out for me, I don't understand it. I don't want to have to think. Just tell me. It's like, if you're that stupid, just ask AI afterwards and then just ask it how to kill yourself. But I would say, like, if you go into this movie and just like let it go, like you'll see where they're going with each element of it. Like it's very clear. It's just not where you'd expect. But that's what I like about it. And I think like it really taps into that. Like obviously it's exaggerated, but the violence of the sport, I think really comes through in that whole sequence. And also like the brutality with even each other. And like how many fights do you see break out on the field when you're watching a game?
yeah,
On football, a lot
yeah,
more than I've ever seen in baseball. Do
yeah.
they even fight in baseball? I've never seen them really fight. Maybe once or twice that I've maybe, and I don't follow, but
There's a
it
few
feels like
times, but
football
most of the
almost all
time,
the time.
well, most of the time in baseball, they're so spread out that like they don't really get fight. But when there are fights in baseball, it's usually the two dugouts where the other players are. They like come out and then there's
Oh,
kind of a
okay.
brawl, but it doesn't happen a lot with baseball.
It's like almost every game with football. Somebody's fucked because they're all just like fucking like literally in this mindset of like murder everybody to get the ball down the field. And it's like, this isn't a healthy thing that we should be promoting with people. Like when these guys are too old, like what do they fucking do?
Yeah.
Unless you're Marshawn, you got a whole gimmick behind your with your personality. You got all this personality. How many of these guys got personality after they got how many concussions?
Yeah. I mean, the only sport where it's legal is hockey. And I think the only reason why that works is because watching people fight in hockey is hilarious because they're on ice. They can't actually like put force behind their punches. They're just holding on to each other and it's just all arms. So it's like they're just wailing on each other, just trying to get some hits in before they slip and fall on the ice and then it gets broken up.
That's
but
funny.
like football concussions, like man, when you see like a bad hit in football, like it hurts to watch. Like, oh my god, it's like that guy might be dead.
But there's people who will actually cheer for that shit when their team is on the opposite side and they're like, hell yeah, we're gonna win now. Or like whatever, if they like injure a guy but they make a good play, it's like I don't care. Fuck that guy. And you're like, Jesus. I used to play fantasy football. I remember when a guy would be playing really well, I'd be like, I hope he breaks his fucking leg. But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've normalized this behavior through this whole it's society in America. But that's really just like a bigger, if you look larger, like we just have normalized violence on such a large scale that like we just like the idea of not encountering violence at any turn, sport, entertainment, whatever it is. It's like unheard of for us. We just expect it. So we're used to it. But that doesn't mean that it's good. Like we should really, maybe we could have a sport where we're all like, massaging each other. That might be creepy. But like, I don't know, just something to like help each other out.
Oh, no, those movies exist. They're just not
porno, I know is what I described. As soon as I said it, I was like, I just am talking about porn. Didn't mean to, but you know what I mean. Like, couldn't there be another sport that was like a positive thing? We're all working together, not like we're trying to fucking murder each other, like kill each other, break each other's legs.
Yeah. And all the while, like this whole movie, while all this stuff is happening, like the movie starts with Cam getting hit in the head with a hammer. And like
I was like, that looked like a pretty hefty fucking, like that was like,
when I saw that, I was like, he would be dead.
Like, I thought it was a sledgehammer. I thought he would be dead too. I was like, that's a really cute little scar. I don't know.
That looked like a cave your head in.
Unless that guy was faking how heavy that looked. I don't know. But why would he be faking it? For us, he doesn't know we're there. We're the audience. We're just watching. That's got to be like, I was like, okay, so this movie's over before it even started. Or is this like he's all going to have this vision before he dies, like from the brain injury? I was like, that can't be right. But that was one thing that went through my brain when that happened. Because I was like, that should kill him. Or put him in a coma at the very least, right?
Yeah.
That looked pretty fucked up. And then I was like, when you find out later, like this is all part of the ritual, I'm like, why the head? I understand the leg, maybe, or maybe like the arm, maybe not the arm for QB, but like the brain feels like a tough place to go. We can do an injury there, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know it's like proving the point of the brutality of like these guys who have fucked their shit up and then they have to keep going.
Yeah.
And like how you basically have to have some supernatural shit being pumped into your veins to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I liked with Marlon Wayne's character is like when they see him and he's taking his own blood out because he's like, my oxygen level's high. So I take it out, cool it, use it on a rainy day sort of thing.
I know. I was like, is that a thing? Fucking, but again, I have no idea what athletes do. So they could be telling me that they drink blood and I'd be like, that makes sense. I was like, I'm not a doctor or anything. But I did really like that, like, at least with when they're in like the sauna thing, when he's by himself and then that crazy woman.
Oh yeah,
the fan. That was like pure horror, it felt like, with that. And I was like, this bitch has a crazy looking face. Like she looked horrifying when she was getting choked out.
Marjorie.
And then like the fact that like he just like then they're locked in there and like I think honestly just from the moment that she like crawls out from under, I was like, ooh, that was freaky. That was some horror
Yeah.
shit. I wish honestly the movie had more of the horror stuff into it. Like it had a little bit of elements, but it feels like this movie didn't it was not fully like a real it didn't fully go all the way with horror. It was more like a like we're just borrowing some elements of horror, but we're not fully embracing the horror, which I wish we could have had.
Yeah, it it flipped around on like what it was doing, because like it gave the cult vibes, but it didn't really feel like the cult side of the thing like really escalated. Like I don't know, like this movie also made me think of like Midsummer, and how like Midsummer starts with you thinking this is a great place, and then just piece by piece it starts to get a little weirder. This really like hits you hard with like this is not a good place from the beginning.
I feel like they've been doing that more and more often with these kind of cult movies where like people show up, and even in Opus, I felt this way where you're like, from the get-go, I'd be like, this is weird. I want to leave. Like
Yeah.
immediately. Like that weird dinner where they all take a bite out of the bread and then pass it along. I'd be like, I'm out. Shaving of the pubes, whatever it is. All of those things happen pretty quick. And
Yeah.
I would like I think like both movies are kind of making the point of like or they both kind of touch on like all these things that we kind of like look the other way with because of like hero worship and like idolizing somebody who's like
Yeah.
amazing at one thing, which it's like why does that make them better than anybody else? Why does he have to be the goat? Why is there always a goat? Like why is
Yeah.
that a big deal? But I thought it was interesting at least. I personally, I don't know.
The thing that I think this movie that it could have done and it would have been a lot better is, there's like me and Sarah, we like watching cult documentaries, and
Yeah, they're
all of
really
them, like
disturbing.
they list off like there are steps for recruitment into a
Yeah.
cult. And the way that this movie like framed like the each day, kind of like each chapter, I felt like could have like kind of focused on each step in the like cult recruitment phase. So like the first one is like, and they do it in this one. Like step one is identify the potential recruit. And so like they
Mhm.
do that. This guy who's supposed to be the best, he gets hurt, he doesn't do the combine. So like they kind of identify that person.
I mean, they hurt him too, so
Yeah. But then like persuade the recruit to walk into the web. So like the invitation, which they did, but then there's like love bombing is step 3. And I feel like they kind of fast tracked the love bombing side of things. But then it's like step 4 is you have to sell them on on the ideology. Like you're at this point, you're just starting to like talk about the weird stuff, like the culty stuff, but like you got to really sell it. And then step 5, you got to pull back. It's the tough love step. And then step 6, renouncing your loved ones. So isolating them
Mhm.
from the outside world. Like they do that one pretty early on. And then step 7, introduction of core beliefs, zero tolerance. And then step 8, zero tolerance of criticism. Like
Mhm.
they kind of spread it out, which I mean, this movie takes place within a week. So, you have to kind of fast track it. But I feel like
It could have been a couple months at least.
I feel like the structure of how they were doing everything could have helped with the whole like getting your head wrapped around the whole cult that's going on.
Well, and it's like, was Marlon Wayans doing this? Like, or who will like it would have been interesting to see some other people like throughout it besides like the wife, who you're just like, I imagine she like is not really a part of things. And then later you're like, oh wait, she's a really big part of things. That doesn't track. Like
Yeah.
it, you know what I mean? I was like, she just seems like a trophy wife.
Yeah.
So I don't assume that any of these people or like the idiot agent where you're like, he's just a funny asshole. Like, I don't think he's going to be a part of anything. But then, of course, it's like they bring them out later. And you're like, would have loved a little bit more time with like, or just like maybe some interesting stuff. I don't know, some other things going on
Or
here. But,
or like
or maybe like they could have, I think the web that they made was just so obviously a fucking spider's web. It's like couldn't they have just made it's like these movies just get way too weird too fast. They need to
Yeah.
like really focus on, remember Midsommar did not just jump the gun. Like they have at least a day or so before they have like the fucking beautiful meal, which is all goes great. And then the old people jump off the cliff. And
Yeah.
that's when it goes wrong. And that's like after a while, it doesn't happen immediately. But these people are like, we're giving them a day and then we're going to start with the weird shit. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's pretty weird shit.
Well, it is also
We might scare him off, right? Like this guy should have been more like, what the fuck is going on a lot sooner.
yeah, or it's like
The Combine thing should have been way later, at least.
yeah, or it's
Or
like
when they're like training, right?
yeah, well, it's like the Midsummer thing. Like that's a pretty abrupt and jarring thing. But then even the movie kind of dispels it with, oh, this is just a cultural thing. Like this
But
is
it is like something that takes you and goes, whoa, holy fuck. And if you were there, you'd be like, red flag. Like,
yeah,
even if that's a thing, I don't know what I just saw. And nobody told me that ahead of time. So it's like, it's a great moment because it can be explained away by the people. But it
yeah,
also is shocking enough that it like jolts you out of this, like, kind of where you've almost been lulled into thinking everything's nice
yeah,
too. But like, this movie, like, I feel like as soon as he arrives, you're like, this place, I feel like there's gonna be some weird shit going on. Like
yeah.
I just after the guy showed up behind him with the sledgehammer and knocked him out in that weird costume, I was like, well, there's gonna be some weird people like that, I guess, sprinkled throughout this film. And I was right.
Well, yeah, then they start injecting him with stuff and he starts tripping balls. Like
Yeah. And he's like, maybe it's just my concussion. I'm like, I don't know, man. And if it was, I feel like, wouldn't that be like, that's the point it's making, though. It's like, maybe you should go to the hospital. Nope, he's fine. Just put him in the ice bath or whatever the fuck. And then, like, oh, this crazy woman will break in and try to kill him. And it's just like, Jesus Christ.
the one thing that I wish this movie did was I wish that there was like there was a scene or something where someone from the outside world, like someone from his family, like his high school girlfriend or something. Because
Yeah.
like when I first meet her and they're like doing that interview at the very beginning of the movie, it's like, oh, she seems kind of like that stereotypical like college athlete girlfriend where it's like, oh, he's gonna be great, he's gonna be the best, like kind of just like bandwagoning off his success. But then like when he gets injured, we hear her talking to him and she's like, maybe this is a sign, maybe like,
Or like a
maybe we
blessing, yeah.
shouldn't do this. And like she's like, I'll be with you whether you do football or you do anything else. I'm like, oh, okay, she's ride or die. I like
Yeah.
her. I would have loved like a scene
Just-
where
yeah.
she like breaks into the compound to
Mhm.
like try and be like save him or be like, we don't know what's going on with you, we're worried about you, sort of thing. And then they do something to her. I don't know. I would have
If
liked a scene like that.
I like that too. If this movie was gender swapped and the main character was a female who was here like training for whatever sport, and there would absolutely be a moment where the boyfriend or partner comes rushing in to try to rescue her and then dies.
Yeah.
That would absolutely be a thing. But because he's a man, it's like, we don't need a woman.
Yeah.
But it's also like, they did kind of set her up though to have more character that she needed at the beginning if we were never going to see her again.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like we just kind of dropped it. And I don't know. I feel like I like this movie, but I do feel like the things that it's making, it does kind of like, it just, they don't go somewhere fully like where I'm like, okay, this makes sense or like bring something interesting to the table. I feel like all the things that people were imagining maybe were just like a little bit more interesting or maybe just like more cohesive.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, the only part of this movie that I had no clue like what was going on was the whole like sort of like acid trip that he has like when he meets the owners and
Yeah.
everything, and like he's like vomiting chains and
But
then
he's coughing
then-
up like a pearl necklace or something. It looked
yeah,
like
and
it was
then
really
Jim
upsetting.
Jeffries' head is cut off. I'm like, wait, what? Why is Jim Jeffries' head cut off?
Because he did whisper to him at the party before he like drank the blood, I think is what they gave him, is like Isaiah's blood, Marlon Wayans'
Oh.
blood. And that's why, is because he was like, that's why he's tripping, is he said, yes, I want to do it, or I signed the contract. So then they gave that to him and then he's tripping out. But I'm pretty sure before that, he like says hi to Jim Jeffries, and then he whispers in his ear, "Run."
Oh,
And
okay.
then he walks off. And so I'm pretty sure that's why they killed him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But
Um,
you're like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on?
yeah, that whole acid
That
trip.
moment definitely was like pretty, but cool. Like the visuals were great. Again, the
Yeah.
visuals of this movie are very trippy. And I'm like, if I watched this on acid, I'd probably be terrified.
Yeah, and then he wakes up on ice and goes and fights Marlon Wayans. Now, I actually really liked the reveal that like they're passing the greatest of all time, like they're passing the blood
It's
down.
manufactured.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's actually, I mean, it's weird in a sports context, but like in a cult horror kind of movie, I'm like, that's a good idea. I like that. This hyper obsessiveness of like who is the goat and it being a
The
chosen
chosen one.
predetermined
Yeah.
thing, and like them just doping him up with the previous goat's blood, and
It's
then like
crazy.
the final test is he has to to kill him to become the one. I
I
was like,
kind of almost thought Marlon Wayans was gonna like become like stay, because I love how throughout the movie you're like, he's at first seems like cool and chill, whatever, and then it's like, oh, he's really not cool with the transfer of power.
yeah,
He's really not happy about this. So then I was like, I really enjoyed him in that final fight scene, because I was like, he really doesn't want to give this up. This is good
yeah,
energy from him. And that was a good fight. I agree with you. I like that. I thought it was going to be some crazy, like actual old goat god. And I was like, or like some crazy, like an actual goat. So I think this was the better thing. Like that might have, like if they had an actual goat at the end or some like goat god thing, it would have been ridiculous, right?
yeah,
Like that just would not have worked. So this I think makes sense. And the medical aspect of like passing the blood feels like when they're injecting it in their arms, it feels like steroids, like just one
yeah.
step away. And a transfusion feels like some way you'd get around like fucking using steroids. It makes
Well,
sense.
that's blood doping. That's what
Yeah.
Lance Armstrong did.
Oh, well, see,
Like,
I don't even know.
yeah, it's like if the more blood you have in you, like the more it can pump through your body and make you a little bit stronger. Like it's not going to
Oh,
turn you into the Hulk, but like that is what it does. Is like
crazy.
the idea is it makes enough of a difference, that fraction of a second or whatever. Like it makes enough of a difference that it is performance enhancing. And that's why he says when he first sees him like taking his blood, and he says, "Oh, I use it on days I train hard and stuff." He's like, "Is that legal?" He's like, no. Like,
Yeah,
no,
who
it's not.
cares?
It's not legal. That is
Yeah.
totally cheating.
But it's
Uh,
like clearly the guys who created the league are in league with the guys who own the team. So it's like I
yeah,
feel like they don't care, obviously.
yeah. So I think that is where the movie should have ended. If you were like, if you were going to be really critical, the next sequence, I like it because it's very fun.
I agree. It turns into like a little bit of a comedy at the end. And I was
It
like
it
unsure the first time I watched it if it was like comedy, but like on my second watch, I'm pretty positive it's comedy.
yeah,
So I was
like
like, it was hilarious. At first I was like, what the fuck is happening? But then I'm like, no, this was some funny shit though.
yeah, like it's very like kind of ready or not coded. Like
Yeah, it really becomes like that for like the second, like that, or basically once he goes outside after he kills Marlon Wayans with the helmet, which was a
yeah,
great touch because the helmet is the thing that killed, like, or like
yeah,
that's what the only thing standing in between these guys. But like, I feel like they need better helmets too.
yeah,
But yeah, that was just really, I think there was a quote that's like one of the guys says, like one of the old men, it's like, I'll kill your family. And he just says it so
yeah,
casually that I was like, this feels like out of Ready or Not or something. Like
yeah. And
one of
it's
the
like
dumb rich people. And I was like, so I was just kind of once I got that tone shift, I was like, I'm expecting him to beat their asses.
yeah. Well, and it's like, yeah, it's like we get this reveal that everybody has been involved with this. Every part of this has been preordained and like decided. Ordained is not the right word. Like predetermined.
It
Uh,
is in this context because they use a lot of religious terminology in this movie. So
yeah,
like it
but it's like,
feels like it's like it's basically what they were trying to do in that movie with Sydney Sweeney where they're like trying to manufacture Christ
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
like have like the like immaculate conception.
yeah,
it's like they're trying to do that here, but like it works, I guess. They know it works. And then also like they've been doing this and like they take however long to like scout for the next one. Like who
Yeah.
knows what kind of deals with the devil these people have to make. It feels like a spin-off of Ready or Not a little bit. Like
Yeah.
what kind of deals they're making with a Mr. LaBelle, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, it's like his agent, the owners, like they're all part of this high council sort of thing. And I don't think it totally makes sense with the rest of the movie. Like I like the idea that Marlon Wayans is the bad guy in this movie, and he's doing all this stuff because he's keeping the tradition going. And then by including this whole other group of like, hey, everyone that's been in this movie has all been working together since his birth, or not his
Yeah.
birth,
Basically, though.
but it's like, I don't know if I like that as much, but because it's so fun, like him just killing all of them, I'm like, I'm okay with this. Like,
I'm okay with it from the line that I said, because that one just got me. The way that old man just says, "We'll kill your family. Now sign the contract." It's like, I don't have time for this. Just fucking do it. And I really enjoyed the like campiness. And I was like, I could tell, especially like the agent, we were like, he was so funny, like at the end. But
yeah,
I think what really was my favorite part of this whole ending and why I'm glad that this movie ends this way, at least, is because when the wife is like so upset and she's like, God, I'll do it. I have to do everything around this place. Because I was like, why is she even in charge or anywhere near this place? Like, I thought she was just a trophy wife.
and
So
then
when she shows up and she gets the big knife and then she just like trips and stabs it through her neck, I was like, this is incredible. That was worth it alone, I thought, you know?
yeah, it's that was so funny. And then yeah, he just goes on chopping heads off and killing people. And then yeah, the agent, he gets torn apart by some deity that
Yeah.
feels very out of left field, but
The
it was
goat
very
deity,
fun.
maybe. Yeah, I was like, all right, so we're going that way. I did read online that there are 2 alternate endings for this movie, if you're
Oh,
curious to hear them.
yes, because
Okay.
the ending is very fun, but
Because
it
he just
remind
kills them all, doesn't sign the contract, and then walks away into the desert.
yeah, and
Plus
then
the
and then
cheerleaders
and
are
then he
still there.
blows up like
Yeah.
it was very Ready or Not, but we Ready or Not, we have Samara Weaving going fuck.
Yeah, at least we have a reaction. So that's like how the movie ends. But then the alternate ending number 1, it says that it would have ended where it would reveal that Marlon Wayans had survived his beating and he was watching on TV as Cam was shown to have won the Super Bowl for the Saviors, revealing he did sign the contract, which would have been
Oh,
lame. Or I guess okay, I don't know. And then the second alternate ending was that Cam had joined another football team and managed to win the championship with them without the help of rituals or other outside demonic forces.
mm,
And it would end with him staring at a spinning football, hinting that despite not selling his soul, the unknown entities are still following him.
mm.
Do you like either of those better?
Uh, I mean, the second one you said is probably the best one, but I don't know. I like I like the idea of this ending and then like a post-credit scene just showing the mayhem of the draft, and like the owner of a team was horribly slaughtered. Do we keep going with the draft? Do we
Yes.
reschedule it? Like, who
It would
takes
be so on
charge?
point for
Like,
that. Like that's the sequel, and it would say, "Yes, we are continuing with the draft." Are you kidding? Our thoughts are with the families, but we are moving on here.
oh,
We're not
that
gonna fucking trade football for
ooh,
like emotions.
that would be a sequel that I would be on board with. Like the whole sequel taking place during the draft and the
Yeah,
evilness of like just sweeping through all these
dude.
kids.
It's basically a fucking slave auction. They could spin it that way, especially with the shit that they were doing with all the mythology in this movie. And it's like, honestly don't understand where people are getting so upset because I'm like, this feels pretty much what I expected for the cult movie. Like, I mean, obviously there's always different endings, like, but sometimes they get away. Sometimes like because they refuse to like be a part of the cult and then they fuck up the cult and leave, right? Destroy it or end it somehow and like destroy it. basically, or they join the cult. Those are like really the only two options. And so I'm glad that we had a whole sequence of him beating their asses and like killing them with the swords and like fucking shit, because that was great. Versus if he had just like signed, all of a sudden it showed that he signed with the team, you'd be like, well, what the fuck? Come on, really? I'd be like, oh, I guess that's like the point. But also, I like the idea. I would have been fine with him, I think, like winning a championship with another team and being like, I didn't need that shit. But also, like, I'd be curious if they did that ending, who would be the new GOAT, and would they have anything like that? Would have been a good tag to have on it if they did have
Yeah.
somebody else. But it was an interesting concept. I really do think this movie is like pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it more than Opus personally.
That's a tough one for me to pick.
I just think Marlon Wayans for me did something more interesting than John Malkovich, because I know John Malkovich can do interesting shit. But like Marlon Wayans, don't you think he really delivered in this movie?
He
Like, I
did.
think he's the reason that this movie is going to be really rewatchable.
Yeah, I maybe it's recency bias, but yeah, I think this edges out Opus. But yeah, like my Letterboxd
It's
review.
more of a risk, at least
Yeah,
to
like
me.
I rated this a 3 out of 5, which
I agree with that.
like this is I am happy with this movie. I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily enthusiastic, but like I enjoyed it. Like a 2.5 is a very mid, not necessarily bad, but ultimately kind of forgettable movie.
Mhm.
You know, so
This is a little bit better than that.
yeah, this
Marlon
has,
Wayans, I think, is the reason. We'll find his performance will probably age like fucking fine wine in a similar way that it'll just like people will keep coming back to this movie because of him. I bet it'll be very similar to how I feel about Anaconda and John Voight. Crazy performance back in the day. Weirdly, I think it's like why that movie has lasting power, right? So I think Marlon Wayans is this movie what John Voight is to Anaconda, basically.
that is it for him. Or I think we should just call this movie GOAT, as we talked about. It's a better name for this movie, GOAT.
The GOAT. It's gotta be
GOAT.
the GOAT. Yeah. Not GOAT.
That's it for that movie. We hope that you all enjoyed it, or if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it because it's on Netflix, and we all have Netflix, so give it a watch. But we are gonna take a tonal shift next week, and we're gonna talk about a movie that I was thinking about it and trying to think about, like, is there another movie that has had this kind of like controversy or negative PR? Like, what's the last movie that had this much bad PR? And the first movie that came to mind was Don't Worry, Darling. But
I don't
for
think
totally
this movie.
totally different reasons for
Yeah,
bad PR.
I would say this one had bad PR a little bit, but then I feel like the charismatic leads of Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi just being gorgeous and dressing on theme for every event, and like just everything that they were doing, I was like, I just want to, this was as good as the movie to me. I was like, this is what's getting me in there. So if they have any chemistry in like the any of the like press tour, you know, I want to see that they like each other, that they have some sort of chemistry there, because if not, it's going to be like, this movie's going to be weird, because it's like a romance, right? So
allegedly, but I forgot to ask you, we're talking about Wuthering Heights next week.
Oh yeah, we didn't even say, and it's not Withering. It is. We talked about this is going to be probably all over the place next week.
I'm gonna call it Wuthering Heights.
That's so like your withering loins, Jace. It just sounds gross when you're thinking of it in this, like, because this movie is maybe not like the book, but it's very much like a sexual and a love story, and very much like a teenage kind of fantasy of a love story, which I think if you look at it through that lens, it totally tracks.
Are you talking about this movie?
The movie Wuthering Heights, not Withering Heights, not to be confused with the old person porno Withering Heights. That's the old person porno version.
Well, see, I'm excited to watch this with Sarah because she's gonna hate it. And because she read the book, and she hates that people think that this is a love story, because it's
a fucked up love story.
She's talking about the book, so I'm very curious to watch the movie and see if is it Emerald Fennell?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what direction she chooses to go with her adaptation, because
It's very different from what I'm pretty sure most people would expect and what's been done before. But like, I really thought Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie had great chemistry. I was there for their sexy times, and that was great when they delivered. And it might not be as like disturbing or boldly sexual like Saltburn was. I
Yeah.
feel like this was a little bit less on the creepy sexual, but like there's some stuff they're like, damn. There's a lot of fluids and things, but I feel like for all men, just be prepared to be like, maybe I'm bi like after this movie, because you're like, Jacob Elordi is like, I don't know what I'd do if he did that to me. Like, I think I might go along with it too. At least I feel like that's how Nolan was vibing with him. He was like, oh my God. I'm like, I know.
I mean, for me, he would still have to have the Frankenstein makeup, for it to work for me.
That's just because you're a freak. But either way, Wuthering Heights will be on HBO Max this Friday, May 1st. Excuse me. April Fool's joke. We're in May already, which is nuts. But so you can watch that ahead of next week when we'll be talking about it. And I'm excited. This is a controversial movie, so I feel like we'll have so much fun and things to discuss. And also, like, got to talk about why Jacob Elordi has had 2 different women on leashes so far in 2026. So, I mean, it's a trend. We'll see if he has any more by the end of the year.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week on the regular exclusive podcast.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.